Rob and Steve Sports Show, all found at theradnetwork.com, and is for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, accounts, or descriptions of this madness without the express permission of the Rad Network and Williams Broadcasting and Rob's Really Mean Lawyers is prohibited. So just don't do it. It's the Rob and Steve Sports Show, a show all about the thrill of Rob's victories.
At 1-0 deficit, Ricky goes, a pitch taken, he's going to have it, he does! Ricky Henderson, no contest, steals third base, jerks the bag from its moorings, and holds it aloft, representing number 939.
Luke Brock was the symbol of great base stealing, but today, I'm the greatest of all time. Thank you.
And the agony of Steve's defeats.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Wash Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game. Unbelievable. Michigan State is still the big boy on the block in the state of Michigan. A shocking ending to this rivalry game. And just when it looked like Michigan had made a number of statements regarding what's going on in this state, the Big Ten race, its position nationally, this happens.
And sometimes even the thrill of Steve's victories.
Sitting on 7-14. Here's the pitch by Downing. Swinging. There's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7-15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron.
Email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com. And now, the Rob and Steve Sports Show.
Obviously, just a ton going on. Some you've heard about, some you're starting to hear about. Patrick Mahomes ahead of schedule, maybe. Aaron Rodgers news, believe it or not. Ohtani can't hit. Lots of hockey, lots of basketball. You're hearing about all that. Yeah, I know, the Celtics. We're not going to start. Actually, we're not even going to start with what I was going to start with. Steve, you do have to explain to me why. In our opening montage where we put together clips of famous moments in sports history, and I know you explained it to me in text when we were going back and forth months ago and putting it together. Why is Hank Aaron's home run, why is that a thrill of your victory montage? Why he doesn't play for your team? Why was that? Because you did lay out why that was such a big deal for me.
I remember that. It was a Monday night back when we had Monday Night Baseball. I was a kid. My dad called me over, said, here, you need to watch this. This, if he hits a home run, is going to be history, and you need to remember this moment. And I remember watching it on our TV, and it happened. And that is prior to the Yankees Red Sox, when the Red Sox finally beat the Yankees down that 3-0, man, the Hank Aaron home run is probably the biggest memory I have for baseball in my lifetime.
Is your dad, did he strike you as the kind of guy where he would have kept calling you every time Aaron was up?
No, it just happened to be right then. I happened to be like in that part of the house because back then I would, and I'm sitting at 8 years old at that time, and I would watch, but I wouldn't necessarily stay focused on it. So it'd be kind of like, oh yeah, okay, now let's go do something else. But as an 8-year-old, I still did watch, and that was just one of those, his way of saying, hey, look, you need to stay here for right now and watch this at bat, because if he does hit the home run, then it's something that you will remember the rest of your life, and I have.
It is the incredible thing about sports. You don't even have to be emotionally connected to the team or the player. There are just those and the thing is, you reach a certain point in life. I don't know if it's an age thing, a maturity thing, or whatever, but you actually recognize, oh my God, I'm watching history. I'm literally watching something that matters. It's going to matter long past my lifetime. People are always going to remember this moment. We've been blessed with so many in the last 50 years, and it is one of the things that makes sports just so powerful. Again, you don't even have to be involved. It can be something where you go, I can't believe that just happened. It involves nothing I care about, but now I do. because I just witnessed something that never should have happened.
And at the time, I did not realize how big of a moment it was. It was like, oh, wow, hey, look, this is cool. And I knew it was going on, even being a sports fan back that, but not to the full on extent of it. I mean, I probably didn't even know anything about the Negro League or anything, probably couldn't even tell you who Jackie Robinson was at that time. So I've just learned to appreciate that moment so much more as I've learned the full history of the Major League Baseball. And just so thankful that my dad stopped me and said, "Here, you need to watch this." Because, like I said, I mean, it's still one of my biggest sports moments that I can recall watching in my life.
Now, whether or not it's historic or one of the biggest sports moments, ultimately, everybody this morning is talking about the Celtics. We'll get to it. We're not starting there. We're actually starting with Steve's Pistons, although we're not really starting with the Pistons because it's our own version of how we get to breaking news as we start the show today. Steve's Pistons beat the Magic 116-94, Game 7 last night. Got to the won a playoff series for the first time in 18 years. That's not the story, though. The story, though, we always like to do this anyways, is we'll get to who's still in it in a minute. The first thing you do is you start doing the post-mortem. Well, the Orlando Magic has already done it for us. They fired Jamal Mosley this morning. Now, Mosley spent the last 5 seasons with Orlando. He led them out of the rebuild into the playoffs the past 3 seasons. Never got past the first round in 3 seasons. He was an assistant beforehand with Nuggets, Cavs, and Mavericks. A lot of people say he never quite honed in on the offense. Others say, give the guy a break. First of all, look at what he did, and he had to deal with all sorts of injuries. The question I always ask you, Steve, when one of these teams that's in it goes out, and especially in the East, where it ain't the West, where you got like 7 teams perennially challenging right now, it seems like, is this the right move for the Magic? Does this make the Magic, we don't even know who the new coach is, does this make them better next year? Are the Magic a real contender, or were they lucky to even have this little space and time as the number 8 seed?
I think they were a very good team and had this space and time. I understand the move. The coach was much more of a defensive type coach, but everyone has to keep in mind that you can only coach the roster that your general manager gave you. The Magic went out. I think they traded 4 first round picks for Desmond Bain and hoping that this could really help with their outside shooting, but they still didn't have a whole ton of production from their bench. Yes, Franz Wagner was out, and that was a big part. And I think if he was in there, I do think that the Magic probably would not have had that unbelievable collapse in Game 6, which I'm still shaking my head because I haven't figured out yet which one was worse. The first part of the Hawks Knicks game that the Hawks went down by 50, or the fact that the Magic, with a huge lead up, 19, 20 points, I think they scored like 16, 17 points in the second half. I mean, Cade Cunningham himself outscored their entire team. So I get the being let go. And I always go to, it's kind of a shame that we always replace the head coach, the manager, and we tend to hold on to that general manager. And the general manager is the one that creates the roster and gives the players to the head coach or manager to then succeed. And you saw it. I mean, Moritz Wagner, 5 points, Anthony Black, 11. That's all they got. They got 16 points off their bench. It's all that contributed. It was the Paulo Banchero show. And he had an outstanding series, and I've been singing his praises for many years here. And I really am glad that he was able to display it to show how dominating of a player he is. He is one of the better players in the league. It's just they didn't have a whole lot to go along with it.
Now, every team does it a little differently. Obviously, every team has an owner, and then you have teams with president of insert sport here operations, and then you have general managers. Sometimes the GM is making calls, sometimes it's the president, sometimes it's both, sometimes one is edging out the other. I don't know how Orlando does it. What I know is that their president, Jeff Weltman, who signed a contract extension just before this season, is the one who is taking responsibility for firing Jamal Mosley, and he will lead the team's search for the next head coach. I don't know, Steve. Do you know enough about Orlando? Is Weltman the guy that put this team together, or is that down the trough? And Actually, answer that one first. Then I'll ask the follow up.
No, he wasn't the one because he came in the beginning of, I believe, I thought he came in the beginning of 2024. So he's been
Yes.
with the team for 2 seasons.
He just
He was
signed him.
a big part with Desmond Bain coming in and trying to give him that opportunity. They signed Caldwell Pope as a big free agent 2 years ago. Last year, he wasn't much. He moved on from there. But with Bankero, Wagner and Carter, they had a really big uh front court there that really causes some matchup problems if they just had some people who could consistently make threes from outside. And I like Jalen Suggs. I think Jalen Suggs does a really good job. And I like the Desmond Bain pickup at the time. But you know me, I preach it all the time. You got to have depth. There's injuries that happen. There's things that go on. You have to go, 8, 9, and I prefer teams that can go 10 deep in that rotation. And the Magic just really, they've like the Sacramento Kings have been more of a 7, possibly up to 8 in their rotation that are actually productive.
It sounds like you've already answered the follow up question, which is maybe a version of it doesn't matter. Because one of the things we always talk about when you fire a coach, fire a manager, who are you going to get to replace them? Who's better? And it almost sounds like you're saying there isn't a manager, there isn't a coach out there since NBA that we can just insert in that's suddenly going to make the Magic a top 14 because the issue is this roster, the depth, and the way it's developed.
And I'll tell you right now, the name that jumps at me immediately when I saw this was Billy Donovan, who's not with the Bulls. He had all that success with Florida University, winning a couple of national championships. I don't know if he fits with the president's basketball style and what he envisions, but I think Billy Donovan, for the fans and everyone in Orlando, they would all feel a lot better if it went to Donovan and they would have that support immediately with the team.
Now, as a Pistons fan, you finally won a damn playoff series for the first time in 18 years. When you look at it in the rearview mirror, does it look like it did to a lot of the rest of us, which is wobbly at best? I understand Cunningham had been hurt and he's still trying to get back, and obviously yesterday he played out of his mind. But when you look at the whole series, it shouldn't have taken 7 games in theory for the Pistons to do what they did. How do you look at it as a fan moving forward?
It's a very flawed roster and team. I think this playoff series against the Magic really exposed that. I've been saying for several years that they need to get consistent shooting from the outside. They did bring in Duncan Robinson, and when you see him and he's on, they do really good. But you can't just sit there and depend on Robinson to carry that team. Their bench to me wasn't very productive. I mean, Big Stu and Ish Stewart really didn't do that much in it. They got Ron Holland, who was a top draft pick for him, has not fully established himself into that rotation. They need to find some bench strength there. And Jalen Duran, I'm still asking, he needs to step up because he's eligible for a max contract, I think, this summer, which puts him up into those elite players, those all-stars, those 40, $50 million contracts. We're not even talking the $70 million contracts, but in that range. And he needs to dominate consistently. He had the 15 points, 15 boards. It was great. 6 offensive boards really helped out. But it was like, here, Cade, you got to take it. And I'm so thankful that Tobias Harris, and I'm not a huge fan of Tobias Harris, stepped up yesterday, because if Tobias Harris doesn't step up, the Pistons get beat and the head coach at the Mavericks still has a job. But Harris has had a history of stepping up in seventh games. He did there. I'm so thankful, because I think we're on halftime and I'm like, man, this Pistons team, they're going down. And from all the teams I root for, that's just kind of my
Yeah.
standard responses, because I always keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, because most of the time in my life that other shoe does drop and I get disappointed. But thank you, Tobias. You stepped up. But it's a flawed team, and I think they're going to really struggle in this next round.
All right, so we had 2 teams pull this off. The Pistons technically are the 15th team in NBA history to overcome a 3-1 deficit. Cade had 32 points, 12 assists. Tobias Harris, you mentioned, added 30. The big question is they advance now to play another wobbly team. I think you called them the most disappointing in the playoffs, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who stumbled their way to a 114-102 victory over the Raptors. Again, a series that should not have taken 7 games. So you've kind of got these two wobbly teams from the East. The Pistons at least looked like the real deal for most of the season. The Cavs, they never did. They never lived up to what you or I were expecting from Cleveland, and they kept that going in the playoffs. So whether it's as a fan or an analyst, tomorrow night this game starts. It starts in Detroit. I think we're over the whole Detroit can't win in Detroit thing in the postseason. That seems to be off their back. Look, I look at it just objectively without diving into stats and all this other stuff. I don't argue with anything you said about the way that the Pistons are currently aligned and all of their questions with all of their roster, etc. I just have questions about the existence of the Cavaliers. Like who are they? I feel like this is, whether it takes 7 games or not, it feels to me like this is the Pistons series to lose, even though the Pistons are not firing on all cylinders.
And a couple of things in that category. One, I hope this helps explain why I was so confident in the Celtics and they were the best team, because they were the most consistent team, performed, didn't have those wobbly legs that we saw. And yet here we are. The Celtics got knocked out in addition to that. But if you roll back to September, and I was thinking about this morning, if you roll back to September, most of the people in the industry said the Knicks were going to be the number 1 seed, the Cavs are going to be the number 2 seed, the Pistons are going to be the number 3 seed, and the Sixers are going to be the number 4 seed, with the Celtics at 5 and the Magic at 6. Well, if you take that scenario, the Knicks the 1, they are now playing the Sixers, who would have been the 4, and the Cavs and the Pistons at 2 and 3. This is what was projected before the season started to be the Eastern Conference Finals. And yet all 4 of these teams are greatly flawed. It's amazing how we got here, but just big questions hanging over that East.
So with the Pistons Cavs specifically, are we going to get sloppy? We're just trying to get through this basketball, is because it seems like the Pistons are trying to tighten up, where I don't know what the Cavs are doing.
The Cavs have more depth. They are a better team here. They're just been so inconsistent. And I got to thank James Harden for the turnovers, although he had a much better game, only had 2 turnovers in that last game. But Cade Cunningham also has to get better with that. Jarrett Allen really stepped up for the Cavs, and I was glad to see it because I really like Jarrett Allen. He's one of those guys who could be the center for my team because he doesn't need to score 20, 25 points. He concentrates on the rebounds, the defense, clogging up that middle. 8 offensive rebounds in that game, and then just let Harden and Donovan Mitchell do their thing. Dean Wade sitting there, and I like Evan Mobley. I think Evan Mobley should do more than he does. He just kind of sits there this year in that offense. I thought he was a big factor in last year's offense because Atkinson chose last year, we're going to run the offense through Mobley, and that just isn't the case anymore. And, Schroeder, Strus, Merrill on the bench, they have some good pieces on the bench, but I liked it much more when they ran the offense last year through Mobley, and it just doesn't seem to be working this year, and or they don't do it quite enough for my pleasing.
As you mentioned, a series that we kept begging everybody, put us out of our misery, don't make us keep watching this, and the Sixers kept making us watch it, and they beat the Celtics. That's the first time since '82. The Sixers snapped their streak of 6 consecutive series losses, the last 3 of which had Joel Embiid on them. And the 2 teams have played each other in 23 series, more than any other matchup in NBA playoff history. The Sixers finally pulled it off. Now, the Celtics, yes, they were dealt a blow hours before tip-off on Saturday when they ruled out Jason Tatum for Game 7 because of left knee stiffness. But a lot of people are saying, don't pin it on that. First of all, great teams rise above. The Celtics are are a great team, or they're supposed to be a great team. They had other opportunities to lock down this series. A lot of people this morning are just sort of kind of gobsmacked that the Celtics lost. The big question really out there is, Steve, did the Sixers win it or did the Celtics lose it? And then the follow up is, what next for the Celtics?
Well, I've going into the season, the big concern with the Celtics with Porzingis going away, etc., was they really didn't have a big presence inside. So when they face these teams, and the Sixers getting back Joel Embiid was so big for the Sixers. We saw that Embiid took the game over. He showed that when he's healthy and he's motivated to play, he is one of the elite big men in the game. But more so for me was the Celtics just, again, the they live and die by the three. This is what they do. They want to put up like 53s a game and they'll wear you out. They only shot 27%. They were 13 for 49 from the three. And then you add in the fact that they could not match up. It was such a mismatch inside. And the Sixers knew it. And they just said, here, go out, go on, Joel. Let's take it to them. And then you started seeing as we got late in that game, the Celtics started just throwing up shots. And it was like Jaylen Brown would never take this shot. He's got two guys. He's being double teamed. He's doing, kind of like a sideways fadeaway, throws up the shot. And you're like, what are you even doing? And in that possession, they got the offensive rebound. Guy was open and he hit it. But you're like, that's not a Celtic shot. It's just panic came across them because they realized the urgency and they didn't have anything to counter the Sixers and slow them down because Embiid was a monster and they knew it. Kata could not stay with them and they had no way really with Edgecombe and Maxey from outside. They had no way to counter. And Paul George is still a good player.
I was always indifferent to Joel Embiid. I never disliked him, never really cared. He's a Sixer or whatever. And then it started to get tiring, all the back and forth with the injuries. And I don't know what the truth is. Is he hurt? Is Philadelphia? But I will say it's undeniable if you watch that game what you said. When he is healthy, when he is right, he is one of the best. I mean, he dominated that game. However, kind of sort of keeping it with the Celtics as we segue to the Sixers, Celtics forward Jaylen Brown said that the officials had an agenda. Not just yesterday, but against Boston, the entire 7-game first round against the Sixers. Jaylen took issue with the officiating during the series, as well as with Joel Embiid, who he called out for his flopping, saying that flopping in general has ruined the game. I mean, he's partially right on that, but he was going after Embiid specifically. He said, quote, Joel Embiid is a great player, one of the best bigs in basketball history, but he flops and he knows it. This is not breaking news. It is what it is. And, quote, in another part of the same stream that Jaylen posted on social media, he showed a play in which Sixers forward Paul George pushed off slightly before making an offensive move. And Brown said, there it is, same move that you called me on. You didn't call it. Now, look, we all have this nitpicky thing that we do, especially when our team loses. And Brown, he was pissed anyways because he was called for 10 offensive fouls in the first round, twice as many as the next highest player. Whining or legit?
I put it more towards whining. And what I'd say is, okay, NBA, who would make a more exciting finals, Celtics or Sixers? I think that NBA wouldn't mind the Celtics getting there. I know the media would not mind getting there. If the media could set it up, they'd have a Celtics-Lakers championship series, and here we go. You look at the fouls in the series, and I think they were pretty close. I think it was like 136 to 132, so it wasn't anything egregious with one team getting called a lot more fouls. Yes, Embiid flops. The king himself, LeBron James, he's the biggest flopper, I think, in the history of the NBA. He flops and like no one even touches him. You see replays and they're like 8 inches from him and he still flops. But for me, what you need to stop for the referees is the offensive pushing off. Jaylen Brown doesn't bring up the fact that he was the second most called player in the NBA for offensive fouls from pushing off. That's one of the complaints with SGA. Many people feel every shot he pushes off to create that separation. You want to stop the flopping, quit pushing off, because once you push off, I can go into my flop because we have videotapes showing you shoved me and it doesn't prove how hard you shoved me. So if you want to take that away, Jalen, hey, stop pushing off. You're not going to get called for those offensive fouls and make your game happen off your own ability. And he's an elite player. He is a great ball player, but the NBA permits it. And that's where I agree with him in his frustration. But these are things I wish the NBA would just go back to. The traveling is ridiculous. This offensive pushing off is crazy. The amount they allow it. So here's a thought. Let's call the fouls as they're written in the playbook, and maybe this all goes away.
What about, though, in the NBA, more than any other sport? We hear it about all the sports, but more than any other sport, the NBA, swallow the whistle, refs. Let them play, let them play, let them play. And what Jaylen Brown is saying is, well, they only did that for one of the teams, although your stats show that's not true.
And we all know that. That's where the big difference is with playoff basketball versus regular season basketball. Is Jaylen Brown really surprised? I mean, he's been in the playoffs how many times? How many playoff games has he played in his career? And he's just now voicing his displeasure with the refs swallowing the whistle. That's because he has been the benefactor many times. And this is the first time he was not the benefactor of the refs swallowing the whistle.
Now, you and I have really been enjoying the last couple of weeks citing the anonymous poll done by The Athletic, a very reliable, partly athlete-run publication, journalistic pursuit that's out there. And one of the things they do is they do this for all the sports, for all sorts of things. They get a bunch of players together and anonymously poll them on things like who from the East is going to go to the NBA Finals. And they had 200 players, coaches. I forget what the exact thing. It was 200, and they were all anonymous. They were all current. Not one of them said the Knicks. Not one. The Knicks had 0.0%. Now, the Sixers are off to play the Knicks. This is not quite the same science as what The Athletic claims. However, there are multiple anecdotal stories out there about the Knicks players being asked off the record of the two teams, which one don't you want to play? And they unanimously said, we don't want to play the Sixers. And the reason they said that is they're built to play the Celtics. They're not built to play the Sixers. Is that true? And are the Sixers poised to eliminate the two big guns from the East?
Well, the Sixers are built with great talent, great defense, and shoot the three ball. They want to push it. They want to put, as I said, 50 threes up a game. The Sixers are built, like it or not, with Joel Embiid in the middle dominating. Mitchell Robinson doesn't like the physical contact. You really want to take Cat out of a game? Make it physical. Karl Anthony Towns does not like that physical play. So if Embiid can continue to be dominating, they're a very tough matchup. Duran with the Pistons, he does not like the physical, and that's part of my complaint is he needs to get more physical. I'm curious if the Pistons play them, do we see more of Ish Stewart? Because Ish Stewart's ready to bang. He'll go in there. He's big-bodied, big guy. He's willing to he'll get his 5 fouls a game and just pound on Embiid if they end up with that matchup with the Sixers. But the Celtics have been the class in the East, and we always build our roster to knock off the king. That's where the Celtics have been, and no one anywhere with all the issues and the injuries, but not just the injuries, but the on and off court issues with Joel Embiid. I don't think anybody went into it saying, look, they can get there. And so nobody even gave it a consideration that, look, if we face the Sixers, How are we going to match up and what do we need to do? I think that was just dismissed and said we're not facing the Sixers. We don't have to worry about it. It's going to be the Celtics.
So if Embiid is healthy, if he's at full strength, and I mean it's a quick turnaround. If my schedule's right, they play tonight. Are the Knicks in trouble?
I'm not sure I'm ready to say they are in trouble. It's a 7.5 point spread. I think this is a little high. I think people are undervaluing. Oh, the Sixers, they shouldn't even be here. They got lucky. They never should have beat the Celtics. And I do think this is a little bit of an inflated price. I would be looking at the Sixers here, not only with the points, but possibly on the money line, because you're getting almost 2.5 to 1 on the money line. And I'm, as a fan, I'm hoping the Sixers punch them right in the mouth, come at them, play that physical basketball, because again, they match up for that postseason play. And then with Edgecombe and Maxey from outside, it really makes it difficult to defend. Uh, I'm curious to see it. And, Drummond's there, the backup center. This dude's been a career rebounder. He's one of the greatest rebounders we've seen in our life. And then you add him, in there when Embiid's got to take some time off. I like it. I'd like to see the Sixers do it. I'm just not sure that they are fully prepared to take on the Knicks' depth. And I'm hoping Mike Brown, from the sense, because I like Mike Brown, doesn't screw it up, because this will be a big upset for many of the fans if the Sixers find a way to knock the Knicks out too.
Well, and speaking of the fans, postseason, home court, home ice, home field. We can debate it all day long. The statistics show it still matters for sure in hockey. And postseason, it does seem to kind of sort of matter a little bit to the outcome. But what we do know is it does matter to the players. And you remember a couple years ago when it was the Sixers and the Knicks, and the Sixers even tried. Remember, ownership even tried to block New York fans from purchasing tickets for Game 6 in the aftermarket. Um, and the players do notice it. And Joel Embiid, remember, he came out at one point, and this is 2 years ago, and he felt betrayed by the fans who were basically selling their. In fact, let me get it right. He publicly called out Philadelphia fans at the time, saying, "quote It kind of pisses me off, especially because Philly is considered a sports town." End quote. So he went preemptive last night. He issued a straightforward request to Philadelphia fans ahead of the playoff series against the Knicks. Don't sell your tickets to Knicks fans. Quote, I just have a message for our fans. Last time we played the Knicks, it felt like Philadelphia was Madison Square Garden. We are going to need the support, end quote. Whether it affects the outcome, it gets in the players' heads. A guy like Joel Embiid, for sure. You can't really do anything about who you're selling the tickets to, and people aren't going to go, oh, well, Joel said I shouldn't sell these tickets that are worth thousands of dollars unless I confirm they're not Knicks fans. So it's kind of a non-story story, but it does show me what it does to the guys' heads.
Yes, and if I was the owner, general manager, I'd just say, as the owner, I would be coming out in all of these big playoff series and saying, look, man, we're asking the fans, don't do it. We want your support. We need your support. If you are truly a Sixers fan and you support us and you want to see us continue playing deeper into the playoffs, you have to do your part by showing up, supporting us, and bringing that great home crowd and that home court advantage that we know you can do. And that would be what I would say. I've seen the Golden Knights do it. We've seen many other teams do it. And I would come out and do that. And I remember that a couple of years ago. And it's like, man, we're at home and it feels like a road team, which is one of my complaints with the Raiders and just these teams in Las Vegas. And I think it'll be the same way with the A's, because the casinos promote all across the country to drive players in, and they offer these ticket packages and all that other stuff, which takes away that home field, home court advantage. So I'm hoping the Sixers fans do right by this organization. They support and they come out, they hold on to the tickets. And unless you're going to look, if you're wearing a Knicks gear, you can't come in. So then I just shove the shirt into my purse, or I wear it underneath. And when I walk in, I take it off. So, I mean, you can't stop it, but I like seeing when organizations step up and ask the fans, at least just put it out there that, look, we want you to support us. We need your help. We want to keep playing. And to me, it acknowledges how important the fans and the fan base are at these games by pointing out that we truly value you. We thank you for your support and we want it to continue.
That's the part I like about it, is the way that it does, not even tacitly, it overtly acknowledges we need you, we believe in our fans. Because there's some people that see this and they go, well, that's weak. They should say it doesn't matter. We could win in front of 50,000 people that hate us. Yeah, that's great. It's a good flex. But I like better saying our fans are this important. And there's an opportunity here, and they got a couple days to consider it. They're in New York for the first two games starting tonight. A major Philadelphia/Pennsylvania company could come along and say, hey, all you folks with secondhand tickets, come to us first. Imagine a local company spending a couple $1,000,000, which, depending on what kind of company it is, would be nothing to them. The press they would get. We'll buy your tickets, and then we're only going to give them to Sixers fans. I don't know how they're going to actually figure that out, but they're only going to give them to people in Philadelphia or something like that. Lots of opportunity here, and as long as it's fan-centric, I like it. And that's the early game. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, and then you step up and you have somebody create the white towels, create something that the fans can like wave and do something, because then it kind of points out who's not backing it. And you can see, hey, look, if whole section J turns out that there's no towels being waved, we can go in and look at section J. What happened here? And why aren't there any supporters in that section of the arena?
So the early game, that's on NBC. Sixers at the Knicks. And then Peacock will have Minnesota at San Antonio. The story there has progressed a little bit. The Timberwolves closed out their first-round playoff series against the Nuggets Thursday of last week. We talked about it on Friday. What about Anthony Edwards? From the beginning, it's been highly unlikely that he would play tonight. He was spotted throwing free throws during Saturday's practice session. Last night, the Timberwolves listed Edwards as questionable for tonight against the Spurs. He was officially cleared last night for basketball activities ahead of the team's Monday morning shoot-around. The story I saw said he was active in Monday morning shoot-around. We never really know with these things, especially with the NBA, but he's cleared already, so we're not waiting for that hour before game time where the NBA says he can play. He's cleared, questionable, he can play. They need him, right?
Oh, they definitely need him, and I'm a little surprised at this. If we're getting clearance like an hour and a half max before a game for these other players, where's he at that he's already received it? The report that they had out the end of this last week, and I saw it over the weekend, was they did not expect him to be able to be available in tonight's game. It was questionable whether or not he would be available in game two, but they were hopeful that he would be available in game three. And that same thing is what sits over Luka's head. They really don't believe he's going to be available for the first two games, but they believe he's going to be available for the third game. But the difference there with the update on Luka is, to my understanding, he's still struggling. He's not running full court yet. And he's still having issues with being able to go in one-on-one drills. So it sounds like Luka's farther behind than Anthony Edwards.
For the record, I want it shown that I tried to get through an entire show without talking about the Lakers, and Steve brought them up. I was going to wait because they're not playing tonight. Now, joking, of course. One last thing. Golden State Warriors today, in fact, maybe right now, are supposed to be meeting with Steve Kerr. They're kind of, sort of, maybe not really anymore head coach. The team, as of yesterday, was letting it be known they believe a deal between the two sides is more likely than not. And the Warriors want a multi-year commitment from Steve Kerr. More likely than not, the Warriors are projecting to all of the sources that will listen confidence that Steve Kerr will be back. There are also reports that ESPN is aggressively lobbying Kerr, and has been, to try to get him to come back to broadcasting. He did it, 20 plus years ago when he was on TNT, color commentator with Marv Albert. I thought Kerr was really good. Does he want to go back to that? Or does he want to stay in the league? The only rumblings are that ESPN is very publicly going after Kerr. They're not denying any of this. Today is the meeting. We heard before that the Warriors want to know that Kerr's heart is in it. It's not going to be a farewell tour for the old guys, including himself. He's going to sign a multi-year deal to look beyond Draymond and Steph and himself. And we're not – I don't know. I don't know anything. it just feels from the outside looking in like Kerr's more gone than staying, but the Warriors say, oh no, he's more here than going.
And I'm in your camp. I think he's more gone than staying. And if I'm Kerr, look, if you want me to commit to this, what's your plan? What's your off season? What's your moves? Because we got to win right now. I'm not coming back for a rebuild. What are you going to put in place that will tell me that we will compete for not just the playoff spot? And I have no interest in the play-in spots. That we are going to compete to win a championship for however long my contract that you're asking me to sign. So if it's multi-year, if it's 2 years, what's your plan for 2 years? If it's 5 years, what's your 5-year plan? Because I want to win it again. And if you can't prove to me, that's where I think he walks away, which is why I believe it's more likely he'll walk away than to stay.
The thing with you're Steve Kerr. If you haven't gotten the memo, you're Steve Kerr. You can demand all sorts of outs to your contract if they're not performing up to the standards that they say. Oh, we're going to do this, that, and the other. There are ways you can actually, at least in a broad sense, create a case for how Steve Kerr could walk away. Plus, if he's really thinking this is it, he doesn't care about being protected from not being able to coach for another team. There are ways to work that out. And the other thing, too, is a lot of people are missing this whole idea of if Kerr cares about his legacy, which I don't know, he doesn't really strike me as a legacy guy, but if he does, wouldn't it be a much bigger story for him if he could, if he believed the team would do this, ride out this old man wave, I don't know, compete this year, see how far they get, but also then win a championship with the Warriors 3 years from now with a wholly new constructed team, but it was never a rebuild. That would be bigger for his legacy, but he's got to have his heart in it, and he's got to believe they would do that for him.
Yes. And I'm going to add something to that in the sense of if he's really motivated and wants the challenge, not just a show up, I coach, I'm comfortable, I have this, and let's see if I can write it out. I think if he's looking more towards his legacy, because it's already there, but if he wants the challenge to build on that legacy, as we've said before, doesn't the Bulls job make even more sense? Because now it's a challenge. I go to another team. I'm going to get control over that roster so I can form it my way. Talk about the ultimate challenge. I'm taking a bad team that may have some talent, and now I can construct it the way I want to solidify me as one of the elite coaches in the NBA. To me, that's the bigger challenge if he's looking for a challenge at this point in his career. If he just wants to ride it out, collect some money, see what we do, yeah, I would say stay with the Warriors. But if you're really into the coaching, I think he's got to take the Bulls job if it were available and if it met everything else he wanted.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP. MAP, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com. If you've never heard of microseal, let me tell you what it isn't. It is not a really small marine mammal. Get it? A micro seal? Oh, fine. Just ask AI. AI describes microseal this way with a bunch of AI words. Microseal is a premium, eco-friendly, and biodegradable fabric protection spray that penetrates deep into fibers to provide permanent stain, soil, and sun fade resistance for rugs, furniture, and delicate fabrics. It uses nanotechno blah 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 and blue 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 blue. What AI is trying to say is that microseal is non-toxic, non-allergenic, safe for pets and children, and although AI doesn't say this, it should, you need to contact a longtime maggot Joel from AdvantageSteam.com right now to get him to apply microseal for you. You can even make appointments online at AdvantageSteam.com. We've had microseal for years at Williams Manor, and it treats a lot more than carpets. Microseal protects virtually all fibrous materials, including wool, cotton, silk, suede, leather, and synthetic fabrics. It protects upholstery, carpets, rugs, draperies, and clothing, including wedding dresses. And ladies, you're going to need what? 3 or 4 of those in your lifetime. And it protects against stains, moisture, and UV degradation without changing the texture. Also, if you're an interior designer, Joel has a special program just for you, and all you have to do is say the password, which is what? But there's no password, I guess. Never mind. Whoever you are, contact Joel at AdvantageSteam.com. And if you're an interior designer, tell him, I guess. I don't know. That's AdvantageSteam.com, where you'll learn more about microseal and everything else that Joel offers at AdvantageSteam.com. That's AdvantageSteam.com. AdvantageSteam.com.
Just two friends talking sports and only sports. Unless Rob goes off on one of his tangents. Email the show, ras@theradnetwork.com.
We got this email, ras@theradnetwork.com, Rob and Steve, ras@theradnetwork.com from Jeff. Oh, I don't need this headline. Scooble's out. Christ. All right, we'll get to baseball in a few minutes. Jeff wrote in and said, there has been a narrative for years that the Hurricanes are a boring team. Hockey kids switching to the NHL. The reasons are their style of play stifles offensive creativity. They don't have a star forward. They have 4 lines of all the same players. Plus the market. Carolina isn't really the most exciting, even in the NFL or the NBA. So I wanted to see if and when you watch the Hurricanes play, do you see them as boring compared to the other teams that are left in the NHL playoffs? Would you describe the Hurricanes as boring, Steve?
No, because if you listen to everything I say, one of the things that I love about the Hurricanes team, and I've said it over and over again, that I keep getting disappointed come the playoffs, is I think they are one of the most solid rosters built in the NHL. We see it time and time again. They're not filled with a bunch of stars and a lot of flashy players with a ton of goals. They are just rock solid, top to bottom, goaltender, defense, have enough offense, but they just keep breaking my heart.
Now, they are up 1-0 already. They play tonight at 4 o'clock, this afternoon Pacific time on ESPN. They will host the 76ers. The 76ers, Jesus. I see Philadelphia in my mind is still NBA. The Flyers. Now, everybody, quote, quote, has the Hurricanes saying they play too aggressively. They're too well defensively for the Flyers to even get more than one win, says one spurt. The Canes are a cut above the Flyers this squad. The Hurricanes are coming off a dominant showing against the Senators, playing their best hockey. Even if the Flyers put up a better fight, Carolina will send Philly to a very hopeful offseason. Does that sound about right to you, Steve? In other words, it's Carolina's series to lose.
It is Carolina's series to lose. I think the big win for the Flyers was just knocking the Penguins out. I don't think they expected to get to this point. They were fighting to get into the playoffs. They were able to accomplish that. And then they were able to accomplish knocking the Penguins out and ending their season. It's been a very good season for the Flyers, but it will end in this series.
The real losers are the Hurricane fans, at least the ones that are still going for the rest of the postseason, because they will not be able to enjoy the beer skate mug. This is so sad. The Carolina Hurricanes breakout star was the skate-shaped beer mug. They sold out of the beer skate on Saturday, just under 5,000 of them. during the Canes' dominant 3-0 win, and they will not have any more for the rest of the postseason. Why?
Why?
You couldn't call somebody and order them. So if you didn't see, this has gone viral. It's everywhere. You can easily Google it. They hold about 27-ish ounces of beer, and it's so fun. You can buy them without beer for $19. You can buy this skate mug, or it's $12 plus the cost of the beer for 27 ounces of beer at a stadium. What are you paying, $20 or something for that? And they're already online. They're already being resold for up to $200 as well. And Steve, you and I were texting back and forth. So you've seen, I mean, it's a skate and the beer goes right into where you would put your foot. And it's the coolest looking thing I've ever seen.
It really was. Whoever, and I believe the Minnesota Wild have a hockey stick.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of just like the big, long, extended. But this was the coolest thing. I don't drink anymore. I would want one of these skates that had it. And I think they even offered, yes, you could buy it, but they even had a package. I thought that you could buy the skate and fill it for like $12 more with candy or
Yes.
something like, yeah. So, I mean, it's not just beer.
No.
I'm telling you right now, if I had one, it would be on the shelf right behind me here in my office. I loved it. And I can't believe someone in their marketing has said, nah, you know, we can't get more made. And I think on top of it, Saturday's game, it's sold out like in the first period. I mean, it wasn't even one of those. They sold out by the end of the game. It was like they opened the doors 2 hours before the game, and it was sold out pretty much before the game started. It was that popular. How you could allow that to expire and not continue it all the way through, however long you play, is beyond me.
Here's the part I don't understand. I get it being a breakout hit, and it was aided by social media. So they had 2,000 of these beer skate mugs on hand. They brought another 1,000 from the warehouse. Ultimately, they sold 4,687 of them, that their entire allotment. So they brought the other 1,000 from their warehouse when a social media post promoting the beer skate went viral. They went, oh boy, oh boy. And then they had to bring in the rest of them as well. And that's before the game, they sold 300 at the Plaza party. And apparently that's when the post went viral. Then it became clear the beer skates were going to be an even bigger hit. The thing that, so here's the yin yang on the how do you not have more thing. I get it. They're customized. It's a hard product to just make on the fly, quote unquote. When exactly did they come up with this idea? How did they not have the foresight to say, what if it really takes off and we're in the playoffs, so that we can also then just really quickly order 10,000 more? And even if it took them a week, okay, we don't have them last night, or we don't have them tonight for what, game 2? Okay, we'll have them when they come back. Something. That one is a little, and because it was such a cool idea. I'm with you. We'd both have them in our bookshelves behind us.
And if they had them the whole entire season and they never sold them, and this was what they just had left, I understand that. And then I would flat out get on the marketing team saying, how did you not promote this? This is one of the coolest things. I mean, we see in baseball games, they serve nachos and stuff like that out of the batting helmets. And if you ever looked at the top of my cabinet behind me, I have several different teams from ordering the nachos at the different games, because I think that's such a cool promotion. The skate is right with it as one of the best promotions I've seen. And either they didn't promote it and they had it, or they had no foresight at all. How do you not just, like you said, look, we'll bring in 10,000. We'll run this promotion for 5 years if that's what it takes to get rid of it. They had to have a little bit more faith in what they were putting out there.
So Carolina's the early game tonight. Both are on ESPN. 4 o'clock, they host the Flyers. And then at 6:30, your Vegas Golden Knights, Steve, host Anaheim. This is game 1. Again, back to the polling of the experts. They're all leaning towards the Knights. A lot of people pointing towards John Tortorella. You can't argue with what's happened since he got there. A lot of people say he's got them playing better defensively. Others keep pointing out the Knights. They were there in 2023. They're seasoned. Shouldn't be a problem in that area. Another reformed itself with John Tortorella headline. Utah's an upstart team. Knights took care of them, and they were only picking up steam. They're going to be even better against the Anaheim Ducks. Are you feeling good about Vegas tonight and moving forward?
Yeah, I am. They're a $2 favorite in the series price in this. They're about $1.60 in this game 1. The penalty kill for the Knights was outstanding throughout this playoffs. They are playing much better hockey. Their defense this year was one of the things that I was a little bit down on, but they have stepped up. And I like the Golden Knights here. The Ducks winning that series surprised me a little bit because just the way they closed out the season, they really struggled. They had that huge losing streak at the end of the season. They lost six in a row. I think they won one or two, and then I thought they lost a couple of more going into the playoffs. They gave that division away. They should have won this division, but the Knights played well with the Tortorella move, and I'm feeling much more confident with the Knights in this series than I did against the Mammoth.
Night and day, especially for you, Eeyore. I mean, it's always, oh, this will never work. This is totally different. I love it. Okay, so just like we were doing with the NBA teams out, what do you do? The Lightning. They took the Canadians to 7 games. Again, same similar question to the Magic or whoever else. Are the Lightning there? Are they a piece away? Or is this as good as Tampa Bay is going to be?
Yeah, Tampa Bay hasn't been the same team there for a while, but I can't knock them that much. They lost in seven, all seven of these games against the Canadians. Talk about a great, great series. Was decided by one goal. That means you're in every single game, start to finish. You didn't get blown out. Yeah, you didn't blow the other team out either, but such a competitive series. I'm not ready to burn it down just for here. It's just Tampa Bay and their fan base, they've been so successful for so long now. And I think this is like the fourth year in a row, if I'm correct, that they haven't advanced deep into the playoffs. So I do think the fan base is probably a little bit displeased, but you can't go and get rid of Cooper. I mean, come on. This is still a great team.
Montreal, they'll advance on. They'll play Buffalo on Wednesday. We'll talk about them more as the week continues. Last night, the Minnesota Wild, despite having a 5-4 lead in the second period, watched the Avalanche surge to win game one 9-6. The Wild head coach John Hines said, "quote There's a lot to look back on. It was a helter-skelter game. We need to look at not just the score, but some things and some lessons and take out of it and be ready for game two." Is it that simple, Steve? The Wild, is it just they need to correct a few things as they enter into game two? Where because they just went through this series with the Stars.
The series with the Stars, I think, took quite a lot out of them, but it also just shows how good this Avalanche team is and how quickly they can score. The Wild had turned to Volstead as their goalie. He had been playing great. He's helped put them in this position. But to expand on a little bit more on Colorado, the Avalanche scored 9 goals. That's incredible in itself. The Montreal Canadiens knocked the Lightning out in game 7 with a 2-1 win, and they only had 9 shots on goal. So the Avalanche had as many goals as the Canadiens had shots, which is one tribute to the Canadiens, 9 shots, 2 goals, winner. But it just shows how powerful this Avalanche offense really is, which is why they are the odds-on favorite to win the Stanley Cup, and they have been the whole entire season.
Now, this is Steve's fault because he brought them up already, but breaking news, as I have ESPN on in the background, they were just showing video of Luka at the shoot-around. He's actually shooting shots at the shoot-around. That is worth breaking programming and showing us. He's done now, or they've faded away. They've gone on to hockey. But there was Luka shooting at the shoot-around, Steve. So on your Laker update. Right.
That means nothing. I years ago I got put in a cast because I tore the ligaments in my ankle, and I will tell you, because as a kid, we didn't have video games, we didn't have these things. I still played basketball almost daily with a cast on. You could still shoot. Now, if he was running lines, through the whole court, then I'd say, okay, hey, look, that's an impressive. But just sitting there watching him shoot. And by the way, I bowled in all my leagues, all my tournaments with the cast on my leg as well. It didn't stop me from any of it.
That was what was so comical to me. Yes, it's during NBA today. I don't think they would have broken into regular Sports Center or other programming, but they did put it up as a breaking news alert, and they show him he's shooting corner shots. He's not moving at all. He's getting the ball and he's shooting from the corner. That's it. And he's in the Luke is in the shoot around. He's right on target for game 3. What?
I would think he's been in the shoot around every game and every shoot around they've had through the playoffs to this point.
One other note from hockey, the Edmonton Oilers, after losing 6 to the Ducks, we now know, according to Coach Chris Knobloch, that Connor McDavid was actually playing through a fracture in his foot and ankle. Of course he was. He's a hockey player. Oh, forward Jason Dickinson had the same injury. However, the Oilers continue to be, and McDavid owned it when he said it. What did he say? We're an average team, or we're not good enough, something like that. There are more players that are coming out who are questioning whether or not they're going backwards, whether or not Edmonton, back to that window, you got the best player in the game. Where are they?
Yeah, but come on, what, they went to the last 2 Stanley Cups? Of course they're going backwards if they didn't win the Stanley Cup, and there's only one direction to really go. Has been a disappointing team. Give him credit to making it to the finals there. Connor McDavid, he's kind of given that team friendly. He's voiced he wants to win. It is the most important thing. But this, for me, goes back to the integrity of these leagues. If we had known this, we were all going, oh, what's wrong with McDavid? He's not lighting it up like he normally does, and you find out he shouldn't even be on the ice along with the other guy. All these leagues preach it. None of them fulfill their promise with the integrity. But I can't knock Connor McDavid. I love the fact that he's out there. And these are things that just show to me how different the NHL is to the NBA. Because the NBA, oh, I got a broken toenail, I better sit out, I'm not going to play. And here he is with fractures in parts of his body, and he's still, I'm going. This is what my whole career is about. I want to win. This is why I compete. And I don't care. You're not keeping me off the ice.
I alluded to it at the start of this segment. Tariq Skubal was scheduled to go tonight, American League Cy Young Award winner. He ain't going tonight, and for a while, we'll talk about that and other baseball after this.
It's the Rob and Steve Sports Show, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP. MAP, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you, all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com. Longtime advertiser Sue Berry, that's Berry with an A, is more important now than ever. Sue and her team have been serving Northern Nevada and the outlying areas for 30 years, and her experience in both commercial and residential lending is vital, as every day we're bombarded with news of interest rates, the market, the economy, and a bunch of other stuff that Sue can actually make sense of while everyone else's eyes glaze over. Now remember, it's Sue Berry with an A, B-A-R-R-Y, SueBerry.com. Most people think berry is spelled like a fruit or Halle Berry, but no, it's Sue Berry with an A, like soul singer Barry White's first name.
I've heard people say.
Stop that. Sue is a broker versus a retail lender, which means she can shop over 150 different lenders to get you the very best rate possible. And on average, someone who uses a broker like Sue saves over $10,000 per loan, which includes refinancing. And if you have a rate at 6.5% or higher, call Sue for a free quote now on a refinance. Sue Berry and her incredible team from Barrett Financial can be found at SueBerry.com. That's Barry with an A. I've been working with Sue and recommending her to you for years. All you need to do is call her now so she can get you pre-approved. Just call your residential and commercial lending expert, Sue Berry, at 775-843-9983. Oh, Rob, stop. You're going too fast. What was the number again? 775-843-9983. Or just head to SueBerry.com. The number's right there. Berry is B-A-R-R-Y. Sue Berry with an A.com. That's Sue Berry, B-A-R-R-Y.com. SueBerry.com.
Disclaimer. Sue Berry, NMLS number 366040. Barrett Financial Group, LLC. NMLS number 181106. Nevada 5091. Equal housing opportunity.
This is the Rob and Steve Sports Show. Call the show at 888-587-5355 or email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com.
Detroit Tigers ace, two-time defending AL Cy Young Award winner, was supposed to throw tonight against Steve's Boston Red Sox. He won't. Instead, he's going to have arthroscopic surgery for loose bodies in his left elbow. A lot of these loose body injuries this year for pitchers. He's going to have the procedure, his arm locked up on Sunday. You may remember they were playing the Braves. Trainer came out. Scooble said he's fine. He finished the inning, and then, nope. He's getting surgery today. No timetable for his return, although typically it's 2 to 3 months before a guy comes back from this. Just hate seeing this, not just because rooting for the Tigers have been for a couple years, but I don't like to see the best go down. It's just the game's better when Scooble's pitching every 5 days.
The game really is better with him. He's the best pitcher in the major leagues, in my opinion. The Tigers' hopes riding on this, and there's all that question on, are the Tigers going to be able to hold on to him? Is he leaving as a free agent and heading to the Yankees for $400 million? Now with this part, it kind of raises into his future and what's that contract going to look at. But to give you an update with that, this is the same surgery and thing with Edwin Diaz, the closer for the Dodgers. He also has the loose bodies in his elbow. And right now, the time frame for Edwin Diaz to come back, and understand that he had this surgery like a month ago. I mean, it was a while ago, and they were saying July was when they were expecting him to come back for the second half of the season. So we might be looking at Scooble not coming back until August, which is going to be very difficult for the Tigers in this competitive division to find a way to even win the division, let alone pull away and hold on. Casey Mize, another starting pitcher for them, is currently down as well. So huge blow for the Tigers.
The tight division thing works both ways, though, in that there's only three games between the Tigers, who are tied for first with the Howardians, and the Twins in last place, who are 3 games out. And with the division that tight, can the Tigers skate along and play 500-ish ball? I mean, they're one of only 2 teams over 500 in that division. Get past the All-Star break, still be in it, maybe a few games behind. I mean, obviously it's not ideal, but it's not. I think it's less devastating than it could have been and should have been in a division with the Howardians and the Royals, who a lot of people thought would be doing a lot better than they are.
And you're correct. If they're in the Yankees division, the Dodgers division, the Braves division right now, I mean, they would just quickly be sinking to the bottom. Just tread water, stay in it. Hope come August, you're in striking distance. Scooble can help you. And the bright spot out of that would be, look, he's not going to have a ton of innings on his arm this year. If he can get right quickly, he might get like 8-9 starts at the end of the season and put himself in a great position. You won't be tired come playoff time.
Meanwhile, I mentioned that Scuba was supposed to throw today against Steve's Boston Red Sox, having a bang up season. They've lost their last two, solidly in last place, 10 games behind the Yankees at 13 and 21. Detroit will host them, and they are now throwing something named Tyler Holton at the Red Sox.
Yes, Tyler Holton, he's a journeyman relief pitcher. And when this news hits, and you have no advance warning, you just pretty much have to go to your roster. It's not like you can call down and say, hey, look who's rested at AAA, let's bring him up, or even look into the AA. It's like, hey, we got to go. So they're going to go with a bullpen game against the Red Sox here. The Red Sox, I was looking forward to it. They needed to step up. Houston ended up beating them 2 out of 3. Red Sox only mustered 7 runs in this series. They continue to struggle. They've lost 2 straight, but they have Peyton Tolley going tonight. He is the Red Sox top pitching prospect. He is the number 18 prospect in Major League Baseball going into the season. This will be his 3rd start of the season. His first 2 starts, he held his own against Toronto and the Yankees. His whip is barely over 1, even though he is 0-1. And I sent Rob you the text to check him out in his last start. To me, this guy looks like a 38-year-old truck driver. He's 24. He has this big mustache. He's a bigger guy, and I'm not saying like Randy Johnson at 6'9", but he's one of those guys that looks more like Bartolo Colon. He looks like one of the guys that you'd sit down in a bar, and I'm sure many people invite him out to have some drinks. He puts on that trucker's hat, and he fits right in, and it's fun. He is a pitcher that comes right at you. He doesn't, let's nibble at the corners. I'm going to throw it. You hit it. But I'm challenging you on every pitch.
So Scooble's out 2 to 3 months, who knows, and is getting surgery. And just double check to see if we've heard this weird thing with Joe Ryan, the Twins ace right-hander. He was removed from his start yesterday against the Blue Jays. He threw 9 pitches. And the weird thing is, after the 9th pitch, he immediately motioned to the dugout, and they came out. And I watched it over and over again. There's nothing weird about the pitch. And I haven't heard what's wrong. Have you heard an update on him?
I have not seen an update. I have been looking, but Rob, you were a pitcher. You can tell when something's wrong, even if it didn't show up in there. Maybe he just had a sharp pain shoot through his elbow or shoulder or something like that, and just, whoa, hold it. I don't want to put my career at risk here. Let's take a look. I'm glad they did it for the precautionary, but sometimes it just doesn't show. And look at Scooble. I mean, he's been outstanding this whole season long, to then find out he's got loose bones floating around in his elbow.
Well, and here's the difference, because you're right, you don't always see it, and sometimes you've got dead arm, and the difference is Scooble a week ago, trainers came out, he threw a pitch, he finished the inning. Maybe he should have come out. And who knows how long, what he was feeling. I'm not blaming Scooble. I would never blame somebody's competitiveness, but maybe what Ryan did here was save himself and the team, because we haven't heard anything yet. So they didn't apparently want to come out and say, oh yeah, his arm wasn't. They want to test. They want to run every test, figure out what could this be leading to. Maybe it's a much better idea that he did this. We'll know when we know. It's just weird, and that's the concerning thing actually too, is I'd almost prefer to see, oh yeah, his ankle buckled as he made the turn, because then I know what it is. Now you're like, God, what was it? I mean, and if God, and then you start wondering, well, they're not saying anything because it's not physical. Is it in his head? Is it mental? Is it something awful, something terrible with his family? I don't like thinking all that stuff.
Right, because it could be hamstring, oblique, elbow, shoulder. I mean, it's everything in that whole spectrum as what could be wrong. Hopefully, he's okay. He is the ace for the Twins, and Twins really need him on the mound as well.
Twins are on the other end of that division with the Tigers, but again, they're only 3 games out. They're off today. That whole thing yesterday happened against the Blue Jays, and they have a very interesting series starting up today. Blue Jays are 7 games back of the Yankees. 3rd place in the East, only 5.5 back, only, from the Rays, the team that seems to be trying to be competitive with the Yankees. Rays have won 3 in a row. Blue Jays have lost 1 in a row. They are in Tampa Bay tonight, Lauer and Martinez.
Yeah, and Lauer's a pitch and change here. Toronto is, they lost the last game. Tampa Bay's playing great. I mean, they took the Giants to town. They swept the Giants out. I love this small ball here. Toronto has to figure it out because they're sitting, under 500 and not playing the best baseball, out there. Guerrero's having a great year. Nick
This is
Martinez
big.
has been all right. What's that?
This is potentially big, Steve, because it's an interdivision game, and the Rays are white hot. They've won 9 of their last 10, and the Blue Jays are stumbling along. The Blue Jays could easily, just by losing to the Rays, fall back into that Red Sox territory. We're 9, 10 games out of first, and it's just the Yankees and Rays.
Yes, which the Yankees would love because they don't consider the Rays any serious competition. And it's kind of sad because Toronto, remember, had such a bad start. I mean, they were down even worse than the Red Sox to start the season. They fought their way back up to, close to 500. So it's a big series because they were the team that everybody expected to challenge the Yankees, and they just haven't lived up to that potential as of yet.
Meanwhile, what the Reds on Saturday, just for the weekend, the Reds, they set a good for them. They set a record. Hasn't been done in 40 years. Two Reds pitchers walked 7 consecutive Pirates hitters in the second inning, which tied an MLB record, but it was the first time in more than 40 years. Pirates led 10-3 after the inning. The Reds had entered play Saturday with the fifth highest walk percentage in baseball. That obviously went up. The Reds are having a decent season. Otherwise, that's more of a just a goofy thing that shouldn't happen anymore. They stay 2 games back behind the Cubs as they'll enter into a series tonight. Pirates aren't playing; they're in last place, but big deal. They're 3.5 out. But I mean, that was seven straight walks. What?
That takes something, and as you know as well, uh,
Oh,
because after like the second guy, it's look, throw the ball over the plate. We'll get somebody who can throw the ball over the plate.
oh,
But the Pirates, they ended up winning that game. Well,
3 in a row.
won yesterday, 1-0. The Reds, though, they've lost 3 straight. They got to figure it out because they've been winning a lot of these close games. Now they've lost the 3 straight, and they need to find a way to rebound
Right.
and get it back going. But that's where I give Francona credit. And I can't even imagine Francona in the dugout sitting there watching it going,
Oh.
this isn't even baseball.
So all good points. The Reds 3 losses in a row. Meanwhile, the Cubs 5 wins in a row, 7 of their last 10. And oh, by the way, that's who the Reds play. The Reds are at the Cubs today, 4:40 our time. It's Petty and Cabrera.
Yeah, Petty is making the start for the Reds. Big guy throws hard. He has swing and miss stuff. The problem is, like with a lot of these guys, they can't consistently pound the strike zone. He has a very high walk ratio on top of it. So hopefully he can figure that out. Cabrera's sitting at a $2 favorite in this game. Cubs are playing great baseball. This is the Cubs team everyone expected going into the season. They've won 5 straight, 7 of their last 10. They're scoring, they're getting good pitching. This Cubs team, if they keep going, is going to be a really tough out. And I'm curious to see, if they can stand up to the Dodgers come playoff time.
Speaking of, I mean, no one can. I mean, it thought no one could stand up to the Dodgers, but it may just be time to hand the division to the Padres and be done with it because the world is collapsing. Shohei Ohtani has gone hitless in 4 straight games. We need to call the authorities immediately. This has not happened in 4 years. I mean, this is truly a testament to who this guy is, that this is even a story. Los Angeles Dodgers manager Dave Roberts said yesterday after the Dodgers won over the Cardinals 4-1, he believes in his star and that he will, quote, come out of it at some point, end quote. Wow, you think, Dave? You feel that good about this guy, huh? Maybe he's going to make it. This kid's going to be all right. Ohtani was 0 for 3 yesterday. He's 0 for 14 in his past 4 games. That's his longest hit streak since going 0 for 12 over 5 games in 2022. Boy, this guy's got some real problems, doesn't he?
Yeah, that was a bold statement with Roberts that I have faith in this guy. No, he's gonna roll him. No, he's been a joke the whole time. He's just been getting lucky. Now we're seeing the true hitter here. If I'm Otani, I'm saying, see, Steve, this is why I want to hit when I pitch. You're
Right.
the one who sat here and kept saying you love the idea of the games that I pitch, that I can concentrate on only pitching. Well, it's ruined my swing. It's ruined me as a hitter. We can't go there. But the Dodgers, they got the Astros here. And yes, the Astros have won 2 of the last 3, but Yamamoto has been outstanding this season to this point. And Houston's going with an Okert with Steven Okert. Dodgers, this is about a $2 favorite here. Dodgers will rebound. Otani will be fine. Dodger land, don't panic. As we all know, the Dodgers are playing for October. And right now, it doesn't mean that much to them.
I am surprised, and maybe I just haven't seen it yet. And if it hasn't happened, it's going to. If Otani, oh my God forbid he doesn't get a hit today, somebody's going to bring this up about the not hitting when he pitches for exactly the reason you said. It won't be Otani; he's got too much class. It's throwing his rhythm off. You got to just let him hit when he. That's going to come up because this is not okay. So you took care of the Dodgers tonight. The Cardinals were the other team there. On the other end of that stick, they did lose, as we said. They're in second. They're 2 games behind the Cubs, tied with the Reds. In the National League Central, they host the Brewers. The Cardinals do. That game is today at 4:45. What is that? Patrick and Leahy are going.
Yes, right now the Brewers, they've lost 1. Update on Brandon Woodford. He is beginning his rehab. They're hoping to have him back by next week. But we're looking at Chad Patrick against Kyle Leahy. Cardinals gave the Dodgers a big run this series. I mean, they won 2 out of 3. They did lose in this last game. Dustin May just continues to struggle for them. Uh, and, Chad Patrick, this guy has put up some decent numbers. He is a pitch to contact kind of pitcher. And right now, the Brewers' Terang is hitting great, and Contreras, they've really stepped up. They are missing Chirios, who has a hand injury. He's been out all year long for the Brewers. He's their star center fielder, but he is beginning his rehab, so they're hoping he's going to be back here soon. And the Cardinals are really heating up the middle of that lineup. Walker is hitting 444 over his last 7 games. You add in Alec Burleson, and he's hitting 370. That middle of the lineup where they need to get it going. The Cardinals are hitting the ball well. I still believe they're overperforming. I don't think this team is that good. They're going through that rebuild. But the Cardinals are finding a way to get it done.
And then there's the Mets. If they didn't have bad news, they'd have no news. Their infielder, Ronnie Mauricio, fractured his left thumb on Saturday against the Angels. And the Mets had to put Bo Bichette in as shortstop. He's played the position, but he moved to third. He finished out Saturday's game. What they're going to do moving forward, who cares? It's the Mets. They're 12-22, firmly entrenched as the worst team in baseball. And hey, what a barn burner today as the Mets start a series at Colorado. Oh, that's almost unwatchable.
Yeah, we have Brazabon going for the Mets against Sugano, and Bo Bichette's been a shortstop all the way up to signing the big contract with the Mets. Mets have shortstops issues. Just move Bo Bichette over there. You have guys who can play third. This is a no-brainer to me. Shouldn't even be a consideration. The Mets are sitting around a $1.40 favorite today with Brazabon on the mound. But this Rockies team, if you're ever going to bet them, you want to bet them at home. They're close to a 500 team. They've been surprising people. I mean, they're not good. I still put them as one of the worst teams in baseball. They have lost their last 4. But if you're ever going to take a shot on the Rockies, at home getting plus money against a Mets team that is terrible and can't win, it's a great spot. You may not cash that ticket, but if you're going to try to do it and make money on the Rockies, this is one of those spots.
Wait, there aren't a lot of times during a year in modern history where the sentence "if you're going to make money on the Rockies" comes up. So this is one of those times. A strong start by Aaron Savali, and the A's beat the Howardians 7-1 yesterday. Avoided a series sweep. Homers from Colby Thomas, Zach Geloff, and Tyler Soderstrom. The A's are off today. The Howardians continue their road trip. They will play the Royals. There's a couple of teams that are just kind of going all over the place this season.
Yeah, we have Bybee against Waka in this game. The Royals are a small favorite in the game. They've won 3 in a row, getting back on track. They've been more of that streaky team. The Guardians, you think of pitching, you think of defense, not a whole lot of hitting. But Chase DeLauder, he's the kid, if you remember, came up at the end of last season, didn't play in the regular season, but came up for the playoffs and was starting for them. Had a pretty good postseason. He's starting to heat up again. He started the season playing really well. And he went into a little bit of slump, but he's coming back. Royals, it's in this starting staff that they aren't hitting a lot. They got to get Pascantino really going. The beauty of him was he was one of those hitters that in past years had hit 240, but he's still driving 100. He's not driving in the runs like he has in the past. It's another big Central Division game in that American League. As you said, all of them are within 3 games. Now they all have life again. Skewball's out. Let's make our move.
Little bit more distance, but not a lot in the West, where the A's, it seems like if the A's can just kind of plod along, winning 2 out of 3, well, they only got 1 out of 3 this weekend, but it depends on what everybody else does. So you're now up to 5.5 games between first and last. The Angels are in last. A's are in first by 2 over the Rangers. That's their biggest game of the season, biggest lead of the season. I'm not suggesting it's time to get excited, A's fans. I'm right there with you. But the Rangers have lost 2 in a row. The Mariners, I don't know what they're doing. They've lost 3 in a row. As I said, A's are off. They'll play tomorrow. We'll talk more about them tomorrow because the Giants, Steve, the Giants, we've been talking about the Giants all season, and they lost 6 to Philadelphia and to Tampa Bay. This is their worst start in franchise history. 13-21. If you're at this juncture, that's the worst the Giants have ever been. And they've matched the 5-week dumpster fires produced by the 1984 squad with Hall of Famer Frank Robinson when they got off to a 42-64 start. I remember that team. That was awful. And now people are talking about everything, not just Vitello as the manager, but the roster, and people are starting to come after Buster Posey. They're starting to look at the way he spent money, who he signed. How is this team such a disaster? Can it really just be because you hired a coach right out of college or Buster Posey? Is it that you signed a couple of hitters who have dragged the entire lineup down? And they point to Willie Adames, who signed the biggest free agent contract in franchise history, 7 years, $182 million, who's batting 195 with a 235 on base percentage. Slugger Rafael Devers. Is it Devers or Devers? It goes all over the place with me.
Devers.
Devers, right?
Or
It has to be
Devers.
Yeah, I don't know.
I always called him Devers. Then you said Devers, and I'm like, nah, I don't recall ever calling him Devers. But I'm not the greatest one. But that's what they say in the Red Sox games. I'm 99.9% positive.
2 weeks ago, it was Ranger Suarez. Now it's Ron Hare. Okay, I just try to check in when we can. So Devers, we're going with Devers. The Giants assume $250 million in his salary. He has a 214 average and a 257 on base percentage. The Giants are last in the majors in home runs and runs scored, last in walks. They're 29th in OPS. They've got Tony Vitello, whatever that matters. And then the other piece of news, which may or may not be related. Giants are calling up prospect Bryce Eldridge, adding his lefty bat to an offense obviously in desperate need of some power. He is the second-ranked prospect in the Giants farm system. He's 59th nationally. They are also calling up catcher prospect Jesus Rodriguez, ESPN's number 10 prospect in the entire Giants system. They're joining the team as the Giants return home. Are those call-ups, Steve, an indication of, and it's like what? Are they desperate? Is it an indication of we're kind of giving up on this year? We want to see what we have. Is it a legitimate move to spark a fire under a team that is supposed to be doing a lot better than they are, or none of the above?
I'm in it's trying to light a spark. Let's see what it is. I don't think the Giants have thrown in the towel. But it's bleak for the Giants. I mean, there's so much there that you talked about. They went 0-6 on their road trip. They got swept by Tampa Bay. They scored 2 runs total in that series against Tampa Bay. Bryce Eldridge is one of their top prospects. Many felt that he would make it out of spring training and he would be part of the roster. They sent him down, which was a surprise move. And I'm glad that they bring him up because I think when I think of Eldridge, I think of Nick Kurtz in possible potential, but he doesn't have the knowledge of the strike zone, anything close to what we're seeing with Nick Kurtz. But if they can just have a good version of Kurtz, he's going to be a really good player for the Giants. But looking at the Giants team, there's not a whole lot they're performing. Who's been one of their best players so far in the season has been Casey Schmidt. He's hitting 308. He is a utility guy, but he's been playing first base. Well, Eldridge is a first baseman and he can't go anywhere else. So you're moving your best guy out and maybe you say, okay, DH, but then you're looking at Devers sitting there who's awful. I mean, Devers hitting 214, 2 homers. I think he has 12 RBIs. He's been as bad of a player as you could have with a team. And they're not putting him at third base. There's a reason the Red Sox took him off there. He's not playing first if you're bringing up Eldridge, and Casey Schmidt's been playing good. So he's your DH. So it's like, where does their best player to this point now go if you're going to play Eldridge at first and Devers at DH? Well, he plays second. Well, you got Luis Ariz, who's hitting 308 that you brought over, who's really more of a DH, but you're forcing him into that second base position. So, and you're not going to pull Ariz out of the lineup. So that's where it's kind of a surprise is you bring him up, great. But where's he going to play? The positions you don't need help at is where he's coming up at. The positions you need help at, you're not getting any help. And lastly, on Willie Adames, I've never been a big fan of him. Huge contract. But keep in mind the Giants keep going after these high-profile players, and they can't sign any of them. They can't get Aaron Judge. They can't get anything. Sometimes they just throw money out there, as they did with Willie Adames, in my opinion, to throw them out to say, look, we can give away big money to some of these free agents. And Adames has let him down. He's hitting $1.95 on the season, making all that money. It just, everything that can go wrong with the Giants is going wrong. I don't know if it's Buster Posey's fault. I don't know if it's their manager's fault. I had high hopes because it's that pitching and defense. They'll have enough offense in order to stay competitive and win quite a few games, but their offense has nothing. Their pitching has still been pretty solid, but their offense is atrocious.
So it's the first week of May, and all of this is true and being talked about and being widely publicized, not just in the Bay Area, but nationally. And you wonder at the point at which something else gives, or does it? And this is a rough time for the Giants. They just lost these 6 games. They are at home tonight against the Padres. I mean, right away, you're going up against the second best team in your division. The Giants are throwing McDonald. The Padres have Vasquez. It starts a 3-game series.
Yeah, Padres are playing a really good baseball. They struggled this weekend against the White Sox. They pulled the game out in the bottom of the 8th last night to win 4-3. Randy Vasquez has been a surprise. I really like him as a pitcher. He's 3-0 on the season. He's been pitching great. He's only allowed 1 run so far on the entire season on the road. He's on the road here. Although his last outing, he did get hit hard, but he is a strong pitcher. And the Giants are at a disadvantage in that spot. But luckily for the Giants, the Padres, though, some of their players, even though their win record is there, I mean, Machado's only hitting 229. Jackson Merrill, their center fielder, is only hitting 211. And Jake Cronenworth, their starting second baseman, is hitting $147. Think about that. They keep putting him out there, which might be why they've experimented with Tatis a little bit at second base, because Cronenworth has struggled. But the Padres, as good teams do, even when some of their big bats have gone cold, they're still finding ways to win. As they're sitting at 20-13, they're 9-5 on the road as well this year. They're playing good baseball.
So the Giants, they host the Padres for 3. Then they got to host the Pirates for 3. They will miss Skeens. Skeens throws Wednesday, and he won't be back until the following week. The Pirates, though, even though they're, again, up and down in their last place, they're only 3.5 better. I mean, they're performing far better than the Giants. And then the Giants have to go to L.A., play the Dodgers for 4, and then play the A's in Sacramento for 3. And at the end of that, if they're still – I mean, this won't continue. I don't see how it just continues with all of the buildup and all of the payroll and everything the Giants are working with.
And I think that's the big test. You hit on it. They got the Dodgers. I mean, the best series they've played, they took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. Is really the only time this whole season it seemed like they had some life in that team. They go into LA and they beat there. And there has to be something with that A's Giants series a little bit. And even though they're in different
Oh, yeah.
leagues, if the Giants can't get a fire lit under this team for the Dodgers and the A's through that part, then I think at that point you really do have to look. But where are you going to go? You can't fire a manager who's never been a manager, but was so highly thought of that he was hired straight from college to the major leagues and fire him after 40, 45 games into the start of his career. Are you really going to go after Buster Posey this early into his, president of baseball operations because he is such a beloved Giant? I don't know what moves the Giants can really make that's going to satisfy the fan base and light a fire under this team to start winning. At a certain point, you just got to say, look, we've made some bad decisions. We have to eat that sandwich and we'll live with it. And in the offseason, we'll figure out how we're going to proceed from there.
Wow.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime advertiser Sue Berry, that's Berry with an A, is more important now than ever. Sue and her team have been serving Northern Nevada and the outlying areas for 30 years, and her experience in both commercial and residential lending is vital as every day we're bombarded with news of interest rates, the market, the economy, and a bunch of other stuff that Sue can actually make sense of while everyone else's eyes glaze over. Now remember, it's Sue Berry with an A, B-A-R-R-Y, SueBerry.com. Most people think berry is spelled like a fruit or Halle Berry, but no, it's Sue Berry with an A, like soul singer Barry White's first name.
I've heard people say,
Stop that. Sue is a broker versus a retail lender, which means she can shop over 150 different lenders to get you the very best rate possible. And on average, someone who uses a broker like Sue saves over $10,000 per loan, which includes refinancing. And if you have a rate at 6.5% or higher, call Sue for a free quote now on a refinance. Sue Berry and her incredible team from Barrett Financial can be found at SueBerry.com. That's Berry with an A. I've been working with Sue and recommending her to you for years. All you need to do is call her now so she can get you pre-approved. Just call your residential and commercial lending expert, Sue Berry, at 775-843-9983. Oh, Rob, stop. You're going too fast. What was the number again? 775-843-9983. Or just head to SueBerry.com. The number's right there. Berry is B-A-R-R-Y. Sue Berry with an A.com. That's Sue Berry, B-A-R-R-Y.com. SueBerry.com.
Disclaimer, Sue Berry, NMLS number 366040, Barrett Financial Group, LLC, NMLS number 181106, Nevada 5091, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP. M-A-P, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com.
Just like you, they dreamt of hitting the game-winning homer to win the World Series. And just like you, well, you know. Once again, here's Rob and Steve on the Rad Network.
Breaking news and also an update on something we talked about earlier with the Timberwolves and the Spurs. And game one, the initial word on Anthony Edwards after last Thursday, out and then questionable and then participating and then now he's playing. 9 days after badly hyperextending his left knee and suffering a bone bruise, word is Anthony Edwards is expected to play tonight, barring a pregame setback. He's known as a quick healer, okay, and has been working nonstop around the clock, rehabbing the left knee. They did point out that Game 3 was the initial realistic target, as you said earlier, Steve. Now they're saying, no, he's playing tonight.
With the final approval sign off after his pregame routine. So he's got to go through that pregame warm-ups, and at that point, yes, he's expected to play, but he still needs that one final hurdle. And from the betting point, that this game has dropped from 11.5 Spurs down to 9. There are a couple of 8.5s out there. So, you know, we've seen a decent move on the spread because Anthony Edwards looks like he's playing.
Are you taking the sports betting angle out of it because then people start yelling rigged? Just in general, are you sensing any sort of Belichick thing going on here, where the T-Wolves want to make everybody think, including the Spurs, he's playing when he's not going to get cleared?
He better be playing. You will hear me screaming tomorrow if suddenly we move that, and who knows, whenever you move that. And that's part of the thing of the sportsbook business is everybody says, oh, Vegas always wins. Vegas always knows. I can tell you from sitting in this seat for many, many, many years, there are people out there who get this information faster than sportsbooks do, and they have the inside track, and we have to adjust all of after that. And that's where, you know, we take our medicine, and this is what we do. In other businesses, we would scream more like Jaylen Brown going, this isn't fair. The NBA, they knew, they let it leak, and fans got this information before us, but we take our medicine. If we're going to offer it, this is how we take it. So Jaylen Brown, quit complaining.
Now, we mentioned earlier that earlier this morning, ESPN's NBA Today felt it was important enough to break in and give us breaking news, a video of Luka at the shoot-around, which all it was he was in the corner taking shots. That's all we saw. That shows nothing. That brings us though to Patrick Mahomes, who he in December had surgery to repair his torn ACL and LCL in his left knee. We were told then he'll miss the first month. October is when he'll be back. And then what was it? 2 months ago we got that video of him, which was a lot more telling than the Luka video. Although, was it edited? It was clearly controlled. It was released by his team, social media, the Chiefs, whatever, of him dropping back. People were trying to analyze, where's he putting the weight? What's his left knee like? Because that's the one that was working. But still, everybody was like, well, he's ahead of schedule. And with the Chiefs and Mahomes, we also then started to hear rumblings of he could be ready. He could be ready to come back for week one. And now it's a month before the first voluntary offseason practice. And Coach Andy Reid said Saturday that Mahomes is on track to participate alongside his teammates, even if it's in a limited capacity. Well, how limited? Is he just standing there? The Chiefs are scheduled to have their first 3 OTAs May 26th through the 28th. Oh, yeah, end of the month, just under 4 weeks. Reid said of Mahomes, quote, if he can do some things, he'll do it. There's no contact. There's no offense versus defense. That's phase 3. He's in a position where he can do everything right now, I think, end quote, everything under what would happen at the end of May, who has spent most of his days at the Chiefs training facility. They keep trying to tell us it's going to be Mahomes, going to be Mahomes, going to be Mahomes. They're not stepping back from that yet.
And they shouldn't. I mean, unless you know it. And even if you know it now, you're not going to say anything. He can obviously take part in their voluntary workout. I mean, he can stand there and throw passes. And being at the facility, he's going through rehab. Of course, he's going to have to be at the facility almost every day, going through the stuff that he needs to do to get ready for the season. And I can kind of compare what we've seen to what we saw with Aaron Rodgers with the Jets. You know, he tore his Achilles. Oh, he's going to come back. He's going to come back this year. He's going to play. And we're all asking why. The Jets are out of it. They're not going anywhere. Why would they rush him back? But the camp kept leaking the videos saying he was going to come back. He never did. So until I see him put on the pads and get hit, I'm not buying into Mahomes is going to be ready for week 1. I hope he is. I really do, because he is such a great talent. The NFL needs him, and I want him to be fully up to strength. But coming out now, it's meaningless. It's like naming your starting quarterback right now for the upcoming season without having gone through anything. The backup quarterback in Cleveland, Shedeur Sanders, looks great and performs in the preseason games going into the season, and Deshaun Watson lays an egg. Shedeur Sanders will be the starter come the start, even though right now on paper he looks like Deshaun Watson has done everything right and he will be the starter.
You are not addressing one of those individuals by their proper title. That would be Pro Bowler Shedeur Sanders. You can
Yes.
also use All Pro Shedeur Sanders. Either are acceptable, but his name in and of itself without its title, Steve, that's just wrong.
And shame on me because I know better. I know he was an all pro quarterback.
What that is, you do bring up an interesting question though. The wisdom behind the why. And Andy Reid's not an idiot. He's actually one of the smartest coaches probably ever, certainly in modern times. Why even comment on this? Why even say, "Oh yeah, Mahomes, he'll be here in 3.5 weeks"? Who cares?
Season tickets. We got to sell tickets. They're going out. We got to build some hype. We just had the draft. We need to get the fans excited. They're not excited right now about the Kansas City Royals. So let's shift that focus to football and get everybody prepared.
Wow, you had that one ready. Okay, now you said the A word. Now I have to talk about him. Aaron Rodgers. Couple of updates. Jerry Dulac. Don't you hang your head at me. Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, who's covered the Steelers for decades, says that there's no context to this. He simply says their patience is starting to wear thin with Aaron Rodgers. Now it is.
They know what they have. They've allowed him to play this game. I can't feel sorry for the Steelers in any way. And I think their patience should have ran thin before the draft. And even before that, I would have given him, look, you have until the end of March to sign it, or I'm moving on and I'm done with it. I don't care. Good luck to you wherever you land. We'll wish you the best, but you're not going to continue to hold the franchise hostage. So again, that's a nothing report. And my apologies to everyone. I didn't think I brought up Aaron Rodgers as a comparison to a Patrick Mahomes injury. I wasn't thinking. It's my mistake, and I'll try to do better in the future.
Good. We all appreciate that, although there's still more A-Rod Jers news. First of all, though, you remember the only flex that the Steelers did do was recently when they dropped this tender or whatever on Rodgers that said you have to play with us. Remember this? And it was basically their first version of a flex. If you come back, you have to play with us, or we get compensated as some sort of designation. I don't remember. We just talked about it last week. I'm so disinterested because it's Aaron Rodgers. Well, either way, it leads to the timing of the next story. Is this all made up by the media? Is this being leaked by the Rodgers camp? Choice number 3, you fill it in. According to CBS Sports, another team has emerged as a landing spot for Aaron Rodgers. Remember, we heard that rumor, and it was right around April Fool's Day, that Sean Payton was going to invite Aaron Rodgers to come out. Maybe he could, spell Bo Nix. Nothing came of that. Well, it's not April 1st. The story is that the Arizona Cardinals have emerged as a possible landing spot for Aaron Rodgers. They have uncertainty at quarterback. Their offensive weapons are attractive. His connection to new Cardinals offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett makes this I'm going to drool all over it story for the media. I'm not saying it's not true. We do know the Cardinals' original plan, or most recent plan, was Jacoby Brissett, who had the inside track, but he's not showing up to the voluntary workouts. He wants to be paid like a starter, and the Cardinals seem to be going, well, we're not sure. Or we're supposed to believe they like Rodgers. Rodgers is a West Coast guy. Arizona is certainly close enough to the West Coast that it's on the West. These are all the reasons we're supposed to believe it's possible. Plus, Nathaniel Hackett, the new offensive coordinator of the Cardinals, is described as one of Rodgers' best friends. So you put all those things into the blender and you hit puree and you come up with a great rumor right on the heels of the Steelers saying you can't play for someone else if you're going to play. So we get some compensation, and here comes another team saying we might want this. And there's that. There's one more, by the way, Aaron Rodgers update, but there's part 2 of the 3.
I just want to say, stop it with these things. If he was going to go to the Cardinals, they would have reached out at some point long before this. They have, as you said, Jacoby Brissett. They have Gardner Minshew sitting there. I think both players are probably a better option than Aaron Rodgers. And that article never brought up they used a 3rd-round pick on Carson Beck. If they're going to go after Aaron Rodgers, why would they use a 3rd on Carson Beck? I think this is Rodgers' camp trying to throw something out there to keep Aaron Rodgers in the media, which he doesn't. They don't need to do it because he's in the media no matter what we do. But maybe it's like getting him some sympathy of, oh, hey, and some team, mysterious team somewhere actually might reach out, which I don't believe there's a chance in the world that's going to happen. And if you're not going to go with Minshew Brissett, just go Carson Beck. He started a ton of games in college. You're not going to be any good. That's why Rob has him as his worst team in his NFL power rankings. So let him just play that out, get a good draft pick, and go get a quarterback next year.
Second worst. The Jets were still the worst. Cardinals were second worst. Now, with the Mahomes story, as we've been talking about it, you immediately, Steve, had a very interesting, I don't want to call it conspiracy theory because it's not. It makes total sense. But you had something you're going to be looking for when the schedule comes out. Where exactly? Who exactly? Well, we know who. Where and when are the Chiefs playing? Is the NFL going to give them a soft start? And we went over the schedule, and there's plenty of teams on the Chiefs schedule that we know they're going to play. It's just where and where and when. Well, not even where. We know where. Just when. Well, will they front load the first, I don't know, 4-6 games, couple against the Raiders? I think they got the Jets and the Titans, things like that. Now, the schedule, if recent history means anything, would usually be released a week from the day, the week of. So like a week from this Wednesday is it's what I've been targeting. The week of May 11th, Wednesday the 13th. That's never official. It hasn't been announced. Nothing's been announced. The NFL does whatever they want. There is now word that the schedule could be released the following week. They wouldn't wait, everybody says, until the last week of May. Then you get Memorial Day. People are on vacation. The NFL likes to own everything. So they could do it the 13th. They could do it the 20th. One factor that's a little muddy, because we talked about it last week, is this whole 5-game package carve-out that was being pitched to Netflix and other people of, okay, you're going to get the 3rd Christmas game and you're going to get this, that, and the other. Where is that? So some people are speculating that's holding up the schedule, because how do you put out of a schedule if you don't know who or if that night game on Christmas will be aired, that kind of thing. I mean, it will be. So maybe that, but we heard last week all that stuff had kind of stalled. Who knows? The other one that a lot of people are mentioning, and it's not ridiculous for the NFL, is your buddy Aaron Rodgers. I mean, if you're the league, and this is the kind of league they are, and you're sitting there, you're going, come on, we want it. If Aaron Rodgers comes back to play for the Steelers become a more attractive candidate for a primetime game or two. If they don't have Aaron Rodgers, they're worthless. And you know that they're sitting there thinking, there's an opportunity here. What? Early in the season, right? You would do it early in the season when you figure Rodgers is still mobile, but maybe not the first game because it takes time. I can see the NFL taking that into consideration, even if it's a Thursday night game.
Please tell me the NFL is not basing anything of their schedule based on Aaron Rodgers and his availability and who he might be playing for. That would just turn me so far away. On your other thing with the flex of the NFL can flex the schedule. So where I do think that package could be something the NFL can just look, we've had this, put the games that they were looking to flex it into in that Sunday or whatever, and then just flex them into it, give them the advance warning once they reach the contract part. The part you didn't hit, I'm going to throw C out there, is with this updated information on Patrick Mahomes that he might be available, the NFL might have to hold off on that schedule for one more week to get a better understanding of Patrick Mahomes' availability in week one and where it is before they fully release that schedule, because they can't flex that schedule out for the Chiefs once they know what Patrick Mahomes is going to do. But please, please, please tell me there's nothing to the Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers thing.
I hope you're right. And by the way, it could be that the NFL had never intended to release it on the 13th. It's always been the 20th. They just don't tell us, and we all have to guess. Or maybe it will still happen on the 13th. Hopefully, it's a non-story either way. We'll be back tomorrow.
This has been a presentation of the Rob and Steve Sports Show, brought to you by the Rad Network and is copyrighted by the radnetwork.com and Williams Broadcasting for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, accounts, or descriptions of whatever Rob and Steve just talked about without the express permission of the Rad Network, Williams Broadcasting,